my last recent few videos have kind of been like power scaling based, lore based, really interesting stuff. Definitely go check out my latest He-Man video, wild scaling there. But regardless, I kind of got away from what my channel is popular for, at least to my common viewers, and that is versus battles. That's what you guys come for. So today, I'm bringing you guys a wild one. This is basically just two heavy hitters from two different comic book verses that I find intriguing. My lawyer GB brought up as something interesting to compare. So that's why we're doing this. It's going to be Mangog versus Despero. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, comment, all that. It's my birthday weekend, so if you want to celebrate with me, go ahead and donate via Cash App. Wouldn't be mad at you. Drop your name or whatever name you want to go by, and I'll shout you out in whatever next video that comes after your donation for my birthday. But anyways, I'm going to be observing Mangog from Marvel 616, and then I will observe Despero and the few showings of Despero. That is, there are a few different versions that came back later in DC, so I'm going to kind of go over all of them in a composite sort and determine who would win if these two titans clashed in battle. First, I'll review Mangog, then Despero, and then give the verdict. Let's begin. First of all, for the Mangog, who is he? Let's give a brief background on the Mangog. Mangog is the accumulation of a billion souls of those damned by the hands of the gods themselves. His return is in order to incur the wrath and judgment of these dead souls upon the gods. In particular, his beef mostly extends with Odin, Thor, and the rest of the Asgardians. What accomplishments does this rage incarnate actually, produce? What's he do? Well, he was capable in recent runs of crushing the arms of worthy Volstagg, aka War Thor, and then crushing Mjolnir itself, which can withstand impacts that threaten the collapse of reality. Jane Foster Thor says he scales in rage and power above Phoenix, Odin, War Thor, and by proxy, worthy Gladiator. I do want to real quick discuss, I don't believe this scales to true form Phoenix Force, as Phoenix itself states it never once showed even more than an infinitesimal fragment of its power to Jane, but even still, what Phoenix she did see, and Odin himself, that's pretty crazy scaling. Mangog comes back stronger each time he supposedly dies or is gotten rid of, and then in one of the more recent times he came back, he absolutely mauled and bullied a weakened Odin and Thor. He also states he can neg the resurrections of even gods when he has to. He treated the Destroyer armor in a 1v1 like an absolute chew toy. This same armor was capable of beating Worthy Gladiator. If you want to know how high Worthy Gladiator scales, go check out my video on Gladiator and how strong he is. It actually did pretty well. But to keep it short, Worthy Gladiator literally blitzed across all of time and space and popped Heimdall, absolutely rocked him, who can see all of the World Tree at once. Even in classic times, he was considered a much more dangerous foe if he chose to invade than even Ego. Now, scaling above Ego actually is pretty significant because Ego himself has been capable of stalemating Galactus before. So that's a pretty big deal and a pretty good feat. Classic enraged Thor with, quote, unequaled fury only enraged Mangog with strikes from Mjolnir. That's crazy. A raging bloodlusted Thor did nothing to Mangog. Early versions of Mangog, which by the way should be weaker versions, tanked the strongest weapon on Asgard. This would scale it above celestial level technology, yet Mangog was able to survive and walk through the blast. That's crazy scaling when you go off celestials. He casually also null-souled Destroyer Armor Blast. This is incredible because, like I said, these same blasts were capable of wearing down and eventually putting down Worthy Gladiator. He should, by proxy of feats done by the souls that empower him, be able to tank existence erasure casually, given the souls empowering him suffered existence erasure and endured at the hands of the gods. So overall, Mangog's one of the scariest threats in Marvel, as he is pure rage incarnate, and his sole purpose of existence is to get back at the gods who wronged the souls he reps. Now, we got Mangog out the way. Let's talk about another powerhouse, but this time he's on the DC side, and it is Despero. Now, real quick backdrop on who Despero is, pretty simple. He's a conqueror from a distant planet, but what really motivates him, what drives him to do what he does, is the fact that early on in his career he took a loss, and this loss came at the hands of, I believe, the Justice League. And losing in such a fashion really made him hate and want to style on his ops from Earth, and as a result, he's been planning on coming back and destroying ever since. And when he does come back, Despero is quite the monster. Now let's talk about some of the things he's done in his appearances. He is a conqueror from a distant planet that when he showed up was easily able to keep up with Rock Lobo and even knock him down and up into space, who at that point, this Lobo was casually Superman level and beat up a Superman while drunk. In a scrap with Guy Gardner, he put him down with just one simple blast from his third eye. This is actually a lot more impressive than you might initially think. This same Guy Gardner was capable of scrapping with classic Lobo and even restraining him and having some of his constructs hold up against Lobo's strikes and taking strikes from Lobo himself. So that already gives him impressive feats, yet Despero just kind of walked through him and bopped him one shot with an energy blast and KO'd him, which is crazy. Booster Gold had to step in to save Martian Manhunter from getting one-shotted by a blast after Manhunter got absolutely mauled and his ass kicked by Despero. Now here, Booster Gold, that's actually like not a down feat for Despero that Booster Gold stopped him, because Booster Gold's literally, his shields have withstood going toe-to-toe with Doomsday for several panels. So he actually has really impressive shield feats. So it's not surprising he was able to stop the initial blast of Despero. Easily, he can rock Superhand and manhandle Superman. Now, one thing I want people to understand is this didn't happen just once or twice. Like, this is consistent across multiple eras. He's always consistently scaled to that tier, if not above. So he does have really good scaling above Superman in terms of physicality. Now, telepathically, which should be his biggest calling card in most encounters, is that he scales above almost everyone he encounters. He has folded Aquaman and Martian Manhunter, who were trying to combine their telepathic might against him. Him scaling above Manhunter as well in power for telepathic hacks and abilities has always been consistent when they run into each other. This is impressive because, as you know, Manhunter before, with some of his high ends, has been able to mind hacks new gods or the entire white Martian race. He has contended with and folded members of a team that included Manhunter and Flash, and when he did so, this was some of his earlier incarnations that weren't as strong, and he did so effortlessly. He managed to run up on the Justice Society and put in work in a brawling fashion, absolutely mauling them and taking them down, almost Hulk style, really showcasing his physical abilities. Historically, even the earliest renditions of Despero nearly folded the League in a brawl, even with Martian Manhunter helping. Firestorm recounted this story and then admits that he himself fears Despero even with an entire team backing him. While conversing with Manhunter, he casually cuts through the full body of Martian Manhunter with his claws, just with a casual swipe. Casually ripping apart Martian Manhunter is crazy, and that physicality alone puts him in one of the high tiers in DC. Given that it's shown and stated by Despero that he can actually use someone else's fear to empower him, one can imply he can maybe feed on any emotion in general to power him up. He can forcibly tear out psionic energy to empower himself, even from other high-tier telepaths and members of his own race. He can emit fire from his mouth and blasts that are strong enough to incinerate his own kind and destroy lantern constructs. He has a device on his belt that allows for teleportation, so, even if you tried to seal him, he could get away or get out of there. He was confident that he could also solo Earth with no problem. This is impressive because, obviously, in order to solo Earth, he's got to beat everybody there, which includes Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, all of them. He was confident he could take them down in his initial mission. His blades that he shows to carry later on in later forms casually cut across lantern constructs like butter with no difficulty whatsoever. He's casually slammed the skulls of Superman and Shazam. This is obviously impressive, as you know how strong Superman is, but Shazam is typically displayed as relative to him, and when he clashed with both of them, he manhandled both. Supergirl, in an encounter with Despero, got mind hacked by his third eye, and she stated during the occurrence that his mind hacks, like this casual mind hacks, is 1,000 times worse than Grodd's, who can hacks the Flash. He's been able to tag and ragdoll Superman and the Flash in the same sequences with no difficulty, showcasing incredible high-tier speed. He scales above the combined might of Superman, Power Girl, Shazam, and Wonder Woman, and took them all on at the same time and ragdolled them with physical strikes. Even his beams, his third eye beams, scaled to his speed, as they are casually fast enough to tag and hit the Flash. And finally, he can survive without his body due to the power of his mind. So, if these two behemoths were to clash, who do I favor? Well, physically, it's interesting. Who's faster? I'd probably a little bit of an edge to Despero. He's the one that more incorporates speed, as he's a blitzing, brawling type. Mangog is a brawler, but he doesn't mind kind of walking you down and tearing you apart more so than just blitzing. But he is quick enough to, overwhelm Thor and Odin quickly, overwhelm the Destroyer armor. So he's definitely not going to get just speed blitz and casually torn apart. Another, big win con I want to talk about, mind hacks, right? Will they work on Mangog? I don't believe so. My evidence for this comes from, at some point, Despero was trying to mind hacks a tiny being, and either the size or the uniqueness of being from another universe, from how he stated it, he said it was one of those factors. He couldn't read the mind. He couldn't mind hacks. So foreign minds from a foreign verse, or too small or too much for him to analyze. There's a billion times billions of that powering Mangog. And even still, it's kind of hard to argue there's even a mind there, as he's more so just wrath incarnate, raging with the sole purpose of his being to kill the gods. So, with that hate manifestation, it's not really a mind anyway, so there's multiple arguments against there even being mind hacks really in play. Not to mention, Despero himself is a gangster. He's more so about the hands than he is the mind hacks anyway. And that is not his first, go-to move, mind hacking. He's more so brawler first. So I don't see mind hacks working regardless of if he tried it, but I don't even know if he would try it. So speed-wise, kind of edge to Despero. Strength, I give it to Mangog. Mangog's an absolute monster. Absolutely tore apart celestial destroyer armor that was capable of beating the hell out of Worthy Gladiator, who could probably give a decent fight to Despero. Not to mention, he shattered the Rainbow Bridge, comes back stronger later, was stated to be stronger than Odin himself, had already beaten up Odin and Thor, and overall, it's one of the strongest beings in Marvel. I see Mangog being significantly physically superior in strength to Despero if they were to brawl. I mean, the fact he crumbled Mjolnir like it was cookie crumbles is disgusting. So if they were to clash, I see this becoming a physical brawl, and I see Mangog taking the edge there. I don't see the blasts of Despero really doing much damage to Mangog. I see these two scrapping all out, and Mangog's rage leading him to eventual victory. as he just literally beats it out of Despero. I think he could neg him coming back too, because he said he could even neg gods like Odin and Thor coming back, given the chance to beat them fully. So in the end, in this matchup, I favor Mangog. Mangog from Marvel wins. Anyways, guys, if you want to see individual videos on either of these characters, smash the like button and comment down below. Anyways, it's been your boy YFE, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.